Are you worried about AI taking your job? Look, it's a totally valid concern. But what if we're looking at this all wrong? We're going to dive into some amazing insights from Stanford's Dr. Li Jiang that reframe that fear into a huge opportunity. This is your guide to not just surviving, but actually thriving in this new AI era. So here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with the hard economic truth of AI. Then we'll peek under the hood to see how it thinks. From there, we'll discover our unique human superpower, learn a simple 5-step method for creativity, and finally, we'll talk about how to really work with tools like ChatGPT. Let's dive in. Okay, first things first. The AI takeover isn't some sci-fi movie plot set in the future. It's happening right now. And according to Dr. Jiang, the reason is pretty simple. It all comes down to basic economics. Just take a look at this. The numbers are pretty stark, right? For a certain task, let's say a human worker costs about $30,000. Well, an AI or a robot can do that exact same job for just $6,000. That is a 5 times cost difference. For any business, well, it's a no-brainer. So you see where this is going. The conclusion from that data is pretty tough to ignore. And Dr. Zhang doesn't mince words. She says this economic reality means a lot of jobs are going to disappear, and not in the distant future, soon. When you hear that, what's your gut reaction? For most of us, it's fear. The instinct is to think, whoa, this is overwhelming, it's scary, maybe I should just, try to avoid it. But here's the thing. Dr. Jiang says that's the absolute worst thing you can do. So this is where we need to flip the script. Instead of seeing a threat, we need to see AI for what it is, one of the most powerful tools humanity has ever built. Seriously, the question isn't if it's going to be used, it is. The real question is, are you going to be the one using it? Because if not, you're going to be competing against the people who are. Okay, so if it's a tool, how do we actually use it? Well, the first step is to kind of understand how it works. We need to look at how these systems actually think, because inside that black box is where we find our real advantage. Dr. Jiang breaks this down into 3 simple steps. First, you just got to get a handle on how it works. From there, you can start to see the huge differences between what it's good at and what we're good at. And that understanding, that's the foundation for really working with it. And this slide? This is the absolute core of it all. See, AI is a master of what we call optimizing from 1 to n. You give it a mountain of existing information, and it will find the best possible solution within that data. I mean, look at AlphaFold. It mapped 200 million protein structures in 2 years. That's a task that would take us humans millennia. But us, we do something totally different, something AI just can't do. We create from 0 to 1. We invent things that have never, ever existed before. And that right there, that is your human superpower. This isn't about trying to be faster than the machine at its own game. No way. It's about getting really, really good at the game it can't even play. Genuine, from scratch creativity. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Creativity? That's for artists. You either have it or you don't. Well, it turns out that's just not true. At Stanford, they developed a process called design thinking, and it's basically a teachable, step-by-step system for innovation. The best part is, anyone can learn it. So let's break it down. This is the 5-step blueprint. And this isn't some abstract theory, okay? This is a practical, hands-on method for coming up with real-world solutions. The process is actually pretty straightforward. It all starts with empathize, which means truly understanding the person you're trying to help. Then you define the real problem. After that, you ideate, which is just a fancy word for brainstorming like crazy. Then you build a simple prototype. And finally, you test it out with real people. So to see how this works, let's look at a case study from one of Dr. Jiang's classes. A group of students was given what seemed like a really clear goal. Figure out how to get more baby incubators to Nepal. Sounds like a good, solid problem to solve, right? Well, not so fast. When the students actually went there, that's the empathize step, they discovered something shocking. The rural clinics they visited already had incubators, expensive, high-tech ones, and they were just sitting in corners, gathering dust, totally unused. So it turns out their initial problem was completely wrong. By actually talking to people in the villages, they got to step 2, define. The real problem wasn't a lack of incubators, it was access. Families couldn't get to the clinics, and they needed a solution that was super affordable and could be used at home. And this is what happens when you solve the right problem. Instead of designing another expensive machine, the students created something brilliant. It was kind of like a tiny sleeping bag with a special warming element. Simple, effective, and designed for a village home. And the final cost? Just $25. That is the power of human-centered innovation.
Which brings us to today and the AI tool on everyone's mind, ChatGPT. The first reaction from a lot of schools and companies is ban it. But Dr. Jenks suggests we do the complete opposite.
I mean, just listen to this. It's a total shift in thinking. She gives her students homework and tells them they have to use ChatGPT to help them. The focus isn't on the final essay anymore. The real learning happens when they discuss how they use the tool, what prompts worked, where it failed. They're learning to collaborate with AI. And I love this analogy she uses. She says that AI is like a giant river. You can't build a dam to stop it. You can't just ignore it. It's coming. The only choice you really have is to learn how to flow with it, to build a raft and use that powerful current to carry you forward. So let's bring it all home. Remember, AI is a master of optimization, but our superpower is creation. A process like design thinking is the key to unlocking that ability. The machine is here. It's not your competitor. It's your most powerful tool yet. So the only question left is, what will you create?